Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about how Rabbi Kimmel interacted in a very critical situation with your family.
So unfortunately, my mother wasn't well for a while, and she was going to Rabbi Kimmel looking for guidance, and Rabbi Kimmel would more or less give the same news that the doctors were giving. A week was good, a week wasn't, back and forth. And at one point it was getting really bad, and Rabbi Kimmel went, we davened, we did a few tikkunim overnight. At certain times of the night, we had a minyan of people. Rabbi Kimmel was very nice about that too. 2 o'clock in the morning, we had 15 people saying Tehillim. And just at one point, things were getting really bad. And my mother, according to what Rabbi Kimmel was basically saying, he wasn't too optimistic about it. But he would always make a point to help my mother, and my mother would always listen to him for guidance. And Rabbi Kimmel wasn't promising anything. There wasn't anything that there was nothing that he can say, or the only thing he was able to do was daven and try to help my mother that way. He was always honest with me, Rabbi Kimmel. With my mother, he would try to give my mother, the proper guidance, the proper chizik, to hopefully say things will work out, things will hopefully get better. I would ask Rabbi Kimmel the truth, and he was always honest with me. Never asked me for money for this or money for that. He would always help me because he was a good person, and he.
Well, it was very important that he not tell your mother the full information that he knew.
Well, yeah, because it would make my mother just go down.
She would give up. She would give up, and that would be a terrible thing.
He was always completely honest with me personally, with my mother's situation. He would actually, a month before my mother passed away, when things didn't look that bad yet, he actually went over to me right after Yom Tov, it was actually right after Pesach, and told me, Chaim, get a haircut and start buying some clothing because it's going to be a hard year. And he actually told me, go with your family on Chol Hamoed and enjoy Chol Hamoed because it's going to be very hard. And unfortunately, my mother passed away.
You understood from that what was going to be.
And again, my mother would go to him all the time, and things weren't worse from that day or 2 months before. Things got worse a month after Yom Tov, and basically things just went downhill before Shavuos.
But he wanted you to spend the family time when it was
available.
available.
And he told my mother and my brother not to go away. We were all together on Yom Tov, and he was unfortunately dead on.
Right, he was right on, but this was the best possible. It was good for you to know about this beforehand. It was good for you to have heads up. Yes, and for your mother, I speaking from behind the camera, but I was in the story. He never told her that that's the end or anything like that. He always told her, go on, push on, keep on, because it was very important to keep a positive outlook.
He gave her chesed at all times.
Yeah, so for as long as possible, she had a positive outlook.
Up until the last day.
I even remember the last night that Rabbi Kimmel went to the hospital to daven by her. I do remember that. I was there.
So, I remember that, unfortunately, too.
Yeah, so whatever, we don't know how our tefillas help, and I'm sure that the tefillas help. There's no way for us to measure that. It's easy for us to say, for sure it was good. We know that in our hearts. We can't measure it. The only place we can measure it is if we go up to Shemayim, and we're not in a rush to do that.
No. Wow, stuff.
So we'll find out how good it, but certainly couldn't hurt. There's nothing that could hurt. And so the point is over here that Rabbi Kimmel was extremely honest. He didn't try to give you false hope.
Never.
Didn't try to, but it was important for her, for your mother, not to be told bad outlook, because if a person loses the positive outlook, that can sometimes make things happen faster. So it was very important to do that. So you're obviously